We are live. This is a special announcement that I am so thrilled. I am so grateful and I am so excited, not only for myself, but for you folks who have pestered me and asked me religiously. And I appreciate that. That's cool because I know a lot of you were in on this and wanting me to keep you up to date on a firm date. And I do now have a firm date. Um, Ross McGowan is going to be in the studio, my studio, to be interviewed by yours truly and perhaps use some questions from you folks, the audience. He will be here on Tuesday, April 23rd from 11 a.m. Pacific time to noon. So we're going to have an hour. And Ross McGowan will be doing a live interview, and he hasn't really done any interviews. So I'm extremely happy that I'm going to be able to interview him and give you an insight and perhaps a great lengthy discussion about some of the high points and a few of the low points about his life, his work on KPIX. People are talking, the great talk show that he and the wonderful late great Ann Fraser did um, on Channel 5, which basically opened up the Bay Area, the world, to see Ross McGowan and Ann Fraser do their thing. And then when Ann and him had a split, um, Ross, they stopped carrying the show at KPIX. And then he came over to Channel 2 and, of course, became a fixture at KTVU in the 90s. And I'm just so thrilled because, first off, I've never worked as hard to get somebody like Ross McGowan, who, as I said, is Bay Area royalty. I wanted to give you a little bit of the insight as to how this was maneuvered and worked. Ross is very fresh. I've spoken to him on the phone numerous times now, but logistically, I'm not patting myself on the back here on this end, but I guess in a way maybe I am. But he's got obligations and appointments and things like that, health related and business related and social related. And so he's making the trip over here to do this. And really, as an homage to the Bay Area audience, which misses him. And I can really say how thrilled, second time I've said that, I am to be given the opportunity to talk to him and maybe basically represent you guys and ask him questions and about his career and all of the wonderful things that took place while he was hosting various shows. Excuse me. As a kid growing up, I remember people are talking. I was in the audience. God, excuse me. Good timing. In 78, for God's sakes, that's what, 46 years ago, watching that show. I told Ross this story over the phone. I said, Ross, I had a Jewish mother, and my mother hated everything. I remember taking my mom to go see E.T., right? My mom didn't think E.T. was great. She thought he looked like Yoda. She wasn't thrilled. She hated E.T., basically. Sound like Larry King now. She hated E.T. But I told him, my mom really liked that show. She loved you and she loved Ann Fraser. So, and he chuckled. And the point is that show, and we'll get into this in detail, but it really was a spectacular show. Schmaltzy at times, interesting all the time. And I know a lot of you watched it, a lot of you back then, and maybe had a keen appreciation of what it became. I mean, have that show in the morning. Then they moved it to the afternoon and more of a prime time. And in any event, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Channel 2 situation. We'll talk about a multiple stories that I know a lot of you have sent me, and through commentary and snippets and all that about various episodes that he and Ann did. I know all about that. You don't have to go into detail about nudist colonies or other things or Larry King on the show. We'll talk about it all. We have an hour. And I just wanted a couple of things. I wanted to give you the firm date, as I said I would. I just got off the phone about an hour ago with Ross, and he will be here on Tuesday, 11 o'clock in the morning. And again, I know a lot of you are at work and maybe will not be able to watch it live, but if you can't watch it live, you'll be able to, of course, download it and watch it here on my YouTube channel, which you should subscribe, because believe me, folks, I've got big, big, big interviews coming, just like Ross McGowan. So that's number one. Number two is, if you have questions that I have teased you about, if you want me to ask a question to Ross, I can't ask every question, but I'll try good ones that I see, and you can send it in your comments here, or you can email me and just put in the subject line, just put Ross questions. I'll look at them, and if there's something interesting, and I forgot about the nudist thing, which was a funny story. In the episode, very famous episode, that he and Ann went to this nudist colony. Somebody told me that. I didn't know about that. I know I heard about it. They promoted it and all that. We'll talk about that. Of course we will. But I'm not going to just ask the routine question. Any event. If you have a question and you'd like me to ask Ross, just email me at rich.lieberman, Lieberman, at gmail.com. Again, it's right up there in the masthead, rich.lieberman at gmail.com. You can also, send it in as a, as a comment if you want to. Either way, if it looks interesting and somewhat intriguing, provocative, whatever, hell yeah, I will credit you and I'll ask the question. We have an hour, and we're not going to be, time wise, we're not going to be constrained by time. I'm going to move it along. And, this is not my first rodeo, as they say, but I'm getting to do this now. So, and I got a lot more planned. God willing, you help me. But I've said a gazillion times here, when I had Ross firmed up, Ross McGowan, that I would let you know, because I know a lot of you were saying I was teasing it, and then I didn't talk about it. That's due to logistics and back and forth on the phone, off the phone, text, and making sure obligations that he had were not compromised and so forth. But now, which is why I'm here live, we're going to do it live. Thank you, Bill O'Reilly. I do have this firm date now, April 23rd from 11 to 12. Please, God, can we hold off on earthquakes or floods or heat, whatever? I'm speaking now, my own nervousness. My luck. I better not even say it. So all I need to be blamed for everything, and including earthquakes, we'll be all right, right? Tuesday, 11 o'clock in the morning, Pacific time. We're going to go an hour. And if you have a question, if it looks good, I can't ask him every question that you send me, but if it's really spectacular and terrific and all that, I'll do my best, right? And I'll use your name, whomever you want me to use your name, your first name, that kind of a thing. And a little quick summation here. This is what they call a get, Ross don't do many interviews. This is the only interview he'll do, and I I'm hoping word of mouth, not just the public, but I know many of you who watch the show now have read me. A lot of KTVU people. That was when KTVU was really regal, right? And KPIX, where it all started. Ross had a stint up in Seattle before he came to the Bay Area, and then of course he ended his career, professional career at KTVU for almost 20 years. So we'll get into all that, but putting this together and working really, really hard as I did and do. Again, I'm not patting myself on the back, but um, I've got a lot more interviews planned. Not everybody wants to do interviews. Not everybody wants to be. I mean, I've said it a million times too. I don't do Mike Wallace, right? I mean, I try to be fair. I try to ask interesting questions. If the situation merits and the subject matter is such, I'm not going to throw softballs because I don't believe in that. As a viewer myself, uncritical. But this is not. I'm not interviewing some crooked used car salesman or doctor or what have you or real estate person. This is somebody that made an impact on all of our lives. We watched. I think the thing about Ross is, and this will be shown many a times throughout the interview, he is real. He's sincere, and that's what I think. Not just me, what made both him and Ann Fraser so successful was the fact that they were, in Ross's cases, they were who they projected. It wasn't any kind of put on. It wasn't manufactured. They didn't have to shout or scream or do, drama or BS for BS sake. They were and are who they are. And that's what made the show. I watched, I probably was one of the few men, because I know a lot of women loved the people are talking, but that's what made it so appealing, was the fact that everybody identified with these guys and girls, and they made it interesting, and they had great guests on. And I know it was a different era and all that, but I just told somebody earlier tonight, said, hey, you can have an internet, you can have all these outside influences and all that, but if you're good at anything, people see that and they'll respond to that. It doesn't have to be, you know, something that is fake. People will see through that. So, anyway, I wanted to give you a little background. I worked my butt off to get Ross McGowan. And I wanted you all to watch this. Again, you don't have to watch it live, but if you're around, you want to take your earphones to work, you can't watch it live. You'll obviously be able to watch it on, whenever you want to watch it. It'll be on YouTube and you can download it and watch it whenever you want to watch it that night. Great, whenever. But to end, I did say I was going to let you know when I got a firm date. And by golly, we got a firm date. Again, to repeat, Ross McGowan, Bay Area royalty, media, television. He did a little bit of radio. The great Ross McGowan will be live in these palatial studios with yours truly, 1 hour on Tuesday, April 23rd. Hey, thank you for watching. As always, please, folks, subscribe to my channel. You'll get, first and foremost, all the exclusive. And if you can, please, I don't rely on advertisers. I do rely on you folks to keep this stove humming. Please make a contribution to my cause so that I can give you all the great access interviews and the inside dope that I try to give you. Occasionally some opinions too, right? Of course. Hey, thanks a lot. Have a great, great end of the weekend, and we'll see you if all goes well, we'll see you on Monday.